being proud of what we're doing, being proud of where we at is such an important acknowledgement that we have to do. And usually when we're in this journey, we don't really reflect or realize the progress that we've made. And that's why doubt keeps coming in, self-sabotage keeps coming in, and all these fears of, or like all these what ifs, or like, oh, I'm gonna fail, blah blah blah. And so that's what I want to talk about today: being proud of the progress that we've made, being proud of where we're at. And yeah, so with that being said, welcome to another episode of Go. We have another solo episode, and this time it's at my room, or it's in my room. I don't have the car today, so we gotta work with what we have. So we're gonna be in my room. And yeah, with that being said, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share, please. And if you're listening on Spotify, please, please, please subscribe as well. Comment there. And also in Apple Podcast, I don't know if I just mentioned Apple Podcast, but if you're listening on Apple Podcast, also follow there. You can't comment, so go follow and go comment on Spotify. But with that being said, let's get started. This time I actually kind of planned the episode, but I'm really bad at like going back and forth. So the good thing is that I have like my notes. The bad thing is that I don't know if I'm gonna follow them. But yeah. So being proud of where we are, I feel like many of us. I think this is more like for an episode or the this episode is more for people who already did the thing, who took the first step, who either posted their first content, who posted their first podcast episode, who hosted the first YouTube channel, who went to a restaurant and like pitched themselves, or whatever like first step you had to do in your project. And you're being consistent with it, you're being like, okay, we're doing this, like maybe it's like really good momentum, or you like fall here and there, and that's okay, because the thing the reason I'm like losing my train of thought. The reason why we kind of go into those like moments of discouragement or doubt or self-sabotage, really like any kind of self-sabotage, is because we forget of where we were and the progress that we've made. And I'll tell a quick story, like my story with this podcast. And it's like, this podcast is the reason why I'm making these videos, because I forget of the progress that I've made in my podcast. Sending those emails like a year and a half ago, and to complete strangers who I am so grateful that they said yes to me. Like 6 people said, out of 30 people, 6 people said yes to like doing an interview, and me having no credibility, nothing, like nothing before starting this podcast, and they allowing me to like interview them and like ask them questions and whatnot. And literally after like month of like posting the videos, like the interviews, I kind of went into a funk of like, is this it? Like, is this what I thought it was gonna be? Because for those who like see my previous episodes, like there's always like something missing for me. And when I did that podcast, when I did those episodes, I was like, when I was doing the interviews, I was like, yeah, like I was so motivated. But afterwards, it's kind of like, okay, now we have to do this again. Like I have to send emails again. I have to do more interviews again. I have to kind of like, in one of the episodes, I was like, I would forget my train of thought, and I'm like, sorry, like I just lost my train. Like I would literally stop, and it will be so embarrassing. And I had to like repeat the steps over and over again. And then I kept going, but it definitely got me questioning, like, is this it? Like, is this really what I want to do? But I kept going, and then like I did almost a whole year of interviews. The motivation itself was like back and forth. Like it was low, it was high. Like I would be like sending emails like one whole week, and then for like a month I wouldn't be doing anything. And then towards the end of the year, I just stopped doing interviews. I stopped doing interviews in January of this year, and I just started doing solo episodes, which is what I'm doing right now. And really, the solo episodes is kind of like to practice my communication. That was my feet, my foot. Um, that was the solo episodes were because I wanted to improve my communication, my kind of storytelling, and just like reminders for myself and for others, because again, we forget to be proud of the things that we're doing. We forget those things, and it's so important to do that and to acknowledge it. And it's very, very hard for a lot of us. And so when I was reflecting, and when I was like, why do I still feel so unmotivated? Why do I feel so like there's no progress happening here? And a lot of it is because of like we still need to do a lot of inner work. And there's the law of correspondence, la ley de correspondencia, where it's like what's within, it's without. Like if there's no like whatever consequences are happening, it's because of the actions we did like within. So when we don't work on those things, it's really hard for us to get or see the results that we want. And therefore it goes back to being proud of the things that you're doing, like acknowledging those things, because when you do the thing and you're like, oh, okay, like whatever, like this is it, or oh my god, I'm not getting a lot of views, or I'm not getting a lot of followers, or I'm not getting comments, or I'm not seeing no results at all, you kind of like you set yourself back, and you go in this downward spiral. And so when I was in my podcast, when I was doing my podcast in the beginning, the first few episodes were like, they were good. They were like 90 views, 100 views, and that was mostly because I told people like, oh, go watch my episode, go follow, go blah blah blah, and like that's the reason I was able to get like 60 followers, about 60 followers on Spotify and YouTube, or maybe less in YouTube. But like that was it. And then afterwards it was just like 10 views, 20 views, 30 views max on hour-long podcast. And then when I started doing my solo episodes, it was even more discouraging, because it was like 5 views, 10 views, 15 views, if anything. But then this past month, about 3 episodes, one of them has like 95 views, another one has like 100 and something. And recently, the episodes that I put out this past week, they're not like big numbers, but for me it's kind of like, oh, that's crazy, because in 5 episodes there were like 10, 30, I think like 30 views, which is in just like in the span of like 1-2 days, which usually those 10, 20 views take a week to like for it to like come up. So that was like really interesting to kind of like see. And I think it's because I've been doing more of like the inner work of like I'm proud of the things that I'm doing for not stopping. So like this kind of where it goes with like reminding ourselves of being proud of ourselves, and where we are at, because Andrea from like a year ago, it was still a lot of self-doubt, and it will be months like I sometimes think I'm in depression, where like I just couldn't do anything. And now Andrea from 2024, maybe it takes about a week or two to like that goes into that funk and then gets back up. And the thing is too, is that Andrea from 2024, even though we're in that funk, we still do certain things to like start creating that momentum, even if that momentum can seem very small. But there's other things that I am doing if it's not podcasting. So being proud. Let me see if I have actually some good notes in here. Because like one of the reasons why, again, we tend to not be proud of ourselves, because we don't believe that it's possible for us. We don't believe that we're actually capable of changing our lives, when the ironic thing is that we are the only person who's responsible for changing our lives. Like we could see so many videos, we can see so many podcasts, so many motivational videos, so many content creators, but at the end of the day, like you're the one who has to put in the work, and you're responsible for the actions that you take in order to get to where you want to be. And honestly, that could be like a very relieving. It could be a lot of like a weight out of your shoulders, or it could be a very like even scarier thought that you're like the one who's responsible for where you're gonna be in life. But when we realize that, when we believe in ourselves, we start creating again that momentum. We start taking, whether it's like small action, big action. Usually it's just better to do like small stackable actions. But when those thoughts of like of doubt, of discouragement, of like you're not seeing results, or you yourself feel like you're not, like it's not enough, you go into that spiral and you start going back into like wanting that stability, wanting the should I do what like society tells us to do, which is like get a 9 to 5, live a, I mean, I don't know what job I would personally get, but like what if I'm miserable, stuff like that. When like this is kind of like my what I am, what's it called? What's attracting me pretty much. Oh my teeth. That's pretty good. Okay, so not believing in ourselves, not trusting ourselves, not trusting the universe, not trusting, this divine guidance, not asking for help, it starts like blocking us from receiving. It stops us from getting the things that we are asking for, and maybe not getting the things that we want like here and there, but the guidance of like, oh, getting the idea, or oh, I should do this, or getting that kind of like impulse of just doing the thing. And actually I could tell a little story with this one too, because this week I've been wanting to kind of like create content for businesses, right? And the fear of like going and pitching to the businesses, it's a very scary thought, especially for me. And I think like the scariest thing is not like going there, it's it's the communication, it's the speaking, because I am really terrible at that, but I think getting better. So when I would, well, on Monday I was gonna do it, but I got scared and I backed out. On Tuesday I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. So on Tuesday I already done the list the day prior, like what restaurants I could go to, and like if they had Instagrams, if they had like a time. And so I went to so on Tuesday I chose 4 of them where I could go like super early, where they're open at the time I was gonna go. And so pretty much I went to 4 restaurants. And did they say yes? No, they did not. Some of them said that they were gonna like text me back. Oh, actually, I didn't get a no in none of them, but I didn't get a yes. And they said they're gonna reach out back to me, and they never did. So that pretty much knows to me for now. So, but the moral of the story is that I followed my idea, my wanting to go and pitch myself, and I'm still gonna. And this morning I pitched through the M, so I'm waiting for the answers through there. But this step in itself is something I'm really proud of, because I fear like one-on-ones. I'm really bad at explaining myself, and I speak really quick. And I'm actually gonna put out like a vlog of, or like the video of this whole process. So I'm gonna put out, I recorded myself when I was, or the audio of when I was like pitching myself, and you could just hear how quick I talked, and it was just really like cringy for me. So, but again, at the end of the day, I am proud of that moment, or of those moments, because I faced my fear. And what was the worst thing that happened? Nothing bad happened. Like, there was nothing bad that happened besides like getting ghosted by these businesses, which is kind of funny. But at the end of the day, I also knew the value that I was bringing to these businesses, and they were gonna get free content for free, which when you think of like how much you could have charged, like I could have charged $100 to $300 just for a 1 day thing. And like for them to not take advantage, I'm not the one losing, like it's them. So when I also looked at it through that perspective, no matter how embarrassing I was, or how cringy I was, or how bad I was at explaining myself, if they weren't able to see that opportunity, they themselves are the one who are losing that opportunity, not me, because I faced my fear. So I think and that in itself should be a reminder for all of us, where we're like put our fears into a different perspective and like see who is actually benefiting from this. And like, yes, it's us, because we're facing that fear, but if we're fearing the rejection, change that perspective. So like they're the ones, like if we're doing like a service, or even like the people who are like maybe watching these videos, like you are seeing someone who is like trying to figure things out and is doing the thing that we fear. And I'm not losing, because I'm having the experience, I'm doing the thing, and at the end of the day I'm learning from all of this. And the same thing with the restaurants, the same thing with like with your own project, like reflect on like what is it, like what value are you bringing to the table. And if it's a good value, like you shouldn't fear rejection, you shouldn't fear doing these things, because everybody's gonna win at the end of the day. So I am in minute 17. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to say before we end. So I guess like some actionable steps for all of us is like, if you're like already doing a thing and you don't see the results, like do more research in that thing of like how can you improve, but also do more inner work. Like talk to your inner child. Tell yourself every single day that you're proud of yourself, like the wins that you did that day or this week. Track your stuff, and other inner work is like journaling, meditation. What else? A lot of like manifestation techniques. So like before you go to sleep, like imagine yourself, visualize yourself, and feel it in your heart. Feel it that you're like doing this thing, you're getting this thing, you're receiving, right? And so try all these different things, like experiment. And if you're someone who's like still scared of like doing the thing, like also do the inner work, but do the inner work of like why are you fearing this thing? Why are you scared of doing the thing? And honestly, like if you're watching in minute 19 and you know what you want to do, but you don't really know where to start, especially maybe I could help. Whereas like if you're in a business, if you're especially like content creation, I could definitely help with that, like in planning and whatnot, and just like getting things started. Like I would definitely help you out. But again, I don't have experience. I don't like you can check my content, and you'll see that it's not the best. But I could definitely I could feel, or I think I could help you get started. And if you I don't think anybody's gonna say anything. So if you're like the first 5 people, then I'll definitely help you out. Just send me a DM and like remind me of this like video. But yeah, so if you need help, send me a DM. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like we just have to remind ourselves to be proud of the things that we're doing. Like reflect on like, oh shit, I did this, oh shit, I did that. Like Andrea from whatever year would have never done that. I would have never done that in 2 years ago, a month ago. So just remind ourselves and like visualize the future that we want, and know that we're being guided, whether we believe or not. Like we are being guided by the universe, we're being guided by these external forces as well. So ask for guidance, and if not, just ask guidance for yourself. Like, what do I really want to do? Why am I not doing? What's blocking me? Why am I not doing this thing? Ask yourself these questions, and we will receive these answers. It's just you opening yourself for that. Oh, I think a packet is gonna come today. Yay. But yeah, so remind yourself of that. Be proud of the things you've done, the things you've accomplished. Write them down. That will be really helpful. So I did not go over none of the things that I wrote down, but I hope this really helped. Again, this is a podcast. This is just me like talking. I am again trying to improve. I did first step like writing things down, but one step at a time. And I'm sorry that I also keep looking here. It's because I bought like this like monitor thingy where I can see how it looks. So I'm like trying to focus here, but I keep looking there to see that it looks good. But with that being said, hello. With that being said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're listening on Spotify or on the podcast, follow there, and Spotify, comment, please. I got 4 new subscribers on YouTube, so I'm really, really grateful for that. I really, really appreciate it. I got I think 3 or 2 on Spotify, so I'm really, really grateful for that as well, and I really, really appreciate it so much. So again, with that being said, have an amazing, beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.